And for real, Italians, their idea of a table etiquette is like a burp's a compliment, a knife's a toothpick, you know, a piece of bread is a utensil, you know. They were always so embarrassing. The Italian side were embarrassing. They're the type that test each other. If you're Italian, you Italian, I'm Italian. You Italian, he's not Italian. Why? He didn't move, but he's an Italian. How do you know? If you move when you say Italian, you're Italian. This guy, are you Italian? I'm Italian. This guy's not Italian. He's supposed to, are you Italian? I'm Italian. Rock 6, 7, 8. He rocks. If you don't rock, he's not Italian. That's how crazy that group is. You know what I mean? So it was always very frustrating for me. And then I ended up getting these crazy jobs. You know, I became very successful in hip hop, which was hard for me because my mother, everyone said, oh, it's a, you know, I went in for hip hop and I went in, Hot 97. It's the flagship of hip hop. It actually is, if you ended up on Hot 97, you became a hit. Like automatically, Jay-Z is Jay-Z because of Hot 97. And they called me in for this job and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be the voice of hip hop. That means like P. Diddy's gonna send me jackets and stuff and be like, please be nice about my album, please. That's how much power they had. And whenever they flagged, everybody in the country would listen to. That's how big this group was. So I was excited. I put on my little blazer. I don't know why I do this. And so what happens is I'm always white around black people and black around white people. So it's very, very frustrating to my entire life. So I put on my little navy blue blazer and I straighten my hair and I try to go incognito, you know, I figure I'll land this job this way, you know. And I get up to the corporation and I'm like, what have I done? Because that's not what they want, you know. I get in the group and I'm out there and I'm in the reception area waiting for the CEO to come out and all these rappers are coming out. These guys are thugs, I mean killers turned rapper, you know, and they're coming out of the CEO's office crying, you know, and so I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go in next. I call me Maija DiGiorgio. I put on my little outfit, tighten myself up. A room full of musical killers jump up and say, good luck, you know. Very weird. And I'm walking down this long hall to go see the CEO. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be roped in working for a show night. And I walked in, the boss looked like Betty White. It was very strange. It was like hip-hop was run by a white woman and this other white woman who's Irish with the worst boob job I've ever seen in my life. Did you ever see a bad boob job? Like they got one done on layaway and the other one done 6 weeks later and they didn't measure up, they're pointing 2 different directions. They never look in the same direction, so anyway, I ended up having, and they actually said to me, they said, do you know black music? You know, and I was like, of course, I was raised on black music. My mother was what they call a French chanteuse, which is crazy, because you don't know what a French chanteuse is. It's, my mother, I grew up, like, put it this way, it went like, did you grow up on black music? Yes, of course I grew up on black music. Lena Horne, Leontine Price, Leslie Uggams. And that's not what they wanted. They wanted Little Wayne, Little Bob, Little Mo, little Kim, not to be confused with the Asian rapper, Little Mo Ling Ho, you know. So it was a very awkward place. Like that's why I'm here, because I come from. We have to have palm trees in here. My mother. I couldn't even describe my mother. I had to Google her. I found her in Jet magazine, 1955. That was a description. Yes. And now to be in Jet in 55. So there's a lot of white people here. If you don't know this. To be in Jet magazine, that's like having 50 million Instagram followers in town. So they described my mother, I had to look her up, they described my mother as a Negro songstress who performs in opera houses all over the world, got the key to the city of Paris at the age of 18, which was 10 years before the Civil Rights Movement, a UN ambassador of goodwill that sings in 7 languages and a concert level pianist at solo with the Cleveland Symphony at 12. Which is why I'm a comedian. I didn't have, like I said, I had to always, this is a woman who believed in having a musical number prepared in case of an emergency. Correction, she believed in having a musical number prepared in 3 languages in case of an emergency. And somehow, everywhere we went, it was an emergency. Now this wasn't good in my childhood because we grew up in a redneck neighborhood. Like my parents were married when it was like illegal in 17 states. And these 2 artists decide we're gonna leave New York and they didn't check the neighborhood. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta check the neighborhood. There's no Asians, there's no Latinos, there's no Mexicans. Never trust a town without Mexicans. That's my thing. Unless you're in Puerto Rico. That's the only place I trust a place without Mexicans. And so they didn't check the neighborhood. And we pulled into the neighborhood. We were surrounded by the rednecks. Like they surrounded the car. And my mother, she said, don't get out. I'll handle this. She shimmied over to the hillbillies in her ostrich feathers, turban, and mink coat. Looked them straight in the eye and said, we're not the Negroids you're looking for. Move along. And they moved along, but I used to get my ass whooped as a child. It was a terrible place to be because I didn't fit in. I used to come home with a black eye every day, and she'd come up with little plots of how to survive the redneck. She said, you go back and you tell those hillbillies that you're Creole. She thought she was so slick. And if they don't do it Creole, did you tell them to look it up? I looked it up and said to be prepared with green peppers, onions, tomatoes.